and welcome to another episode of the Redefined Movement. Today I'm really excited for this interview because I have my good friend Courtney here.
Hey.
She's amazing, and her story is one which, man, it carries hope. And it carries a real hope behind it. And I love seeing the life that you live now. Because I remember we actually met in your journey, right in the middle of the battle, but I love seeing your journey now and the way you're living life now. I think that's just going to inspire so many people that freedom is a good thing. So tell us, before I tell everyone about your journey, tell us a little bit about your journey. How did your eating disorder start?
Well, it all started when I think I was about 12. And that's when like my unhealthy kind of ideas about eating and exercise kind of started to form. I remember at the time my mum was dieting and she'd lost weight. And she was very she told me all about it, which at no fault of her own started to trigger some thoughts within my mind of maybe I'm eating too much, maybe I should be exercising more, which just kind of spiraled and was quite a secretive, dark place for me. Which turned into up and down of overeating and then over exercising, binge eating, and it all kind of became this big mess that I couldn't really handle when I thought I could. And eventually I fell into the trap of bulimia at I think the age of 19, 20. And that's where I kind of landed, hit rock bottom. It was affecting every year of my life. And I knew that I couldn't really go on with it anymore. Couldn't control it. It had a great hold of me. I thought it was. Yeah.
Wow. What was having an eating disorder like for you? Like, what were some of the good things about it? Because I know for me, even though there's nothing really good about it, it served a purpose. As well. Yeah. And like you've mentioned how it really impacted your life as well. Like, what sort of impact did it have on your life too?
I suppose I can't think of like a positive impact. It was really destructive. But I can look at what has come out of it now. And just how I'm able to relate to people, how much freedom I've got from it. It was just overall destructive. But I mean now, through working through it, I got to the bottom of some other issues. So I guess kind of it showed its head. When it showed its head and I knew that I had to get help, I ended up talking about a whole lot of things. I talked about my upbringing, just growing up in less than ideal circumstances, I guess. And I was kind of brought to a place where I had to talk about things. I had to get counselling and for whatever reason. Yeah, so that's a positive from it.
That it actually made you work through things.
Yeah.
To get to where you are now.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, like, it was like pain. It was me trying to run away from pain. It was me trying to be in control of how I felt and be in control of my feelings. Because I thought if I could change who I was, if I could change how I looked, I'd feel good about myself and I wouldn't have to feel ugly feelings anymore, you know? But same for me. On my journey of recovery, it got deep and I had to work through stuff. Which, if I hadn't have gone through it, I don't know if I ever would have worked through some of that stuff. Yeah. And it might have still been impacting me today. Yeah. At which point did you realise that you couldn't fight alone?
Well, to be honest, I couldn't fight alone the whole time. But when it got to the point where it really was controlling every aspect of my life, like I had finished school, I was holding a job down, but I didn't have any vision for my life. Like I didn't know where I was going. and then it got to the point where I was kind of having to work part-time because of the impact it was having on my life. I couldn't really function mentally. Yeah, like the stress of it all, trying to control what I was doing, and I think I was about 21. I remember 21st birthday, and I was at an all-time kind of low with it, and that's when I kind of knew like couldn't keep going anymore. I had to start actually talking to the people that were reaching out to me. Jess was the first one that kind of spoke to me about her experiences and how she became free. It was only half a year or so down the track of becoming bulimic, I guess. So it wasn't sustainable once I hit that point. Yeah.
I remember meeting you, and you said you'd never had a blonde friend before, and we didn't know we were going to become friends. Yeah. But now we're really good friends. Which that's one good thing about it is we got a beautiful friendship.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. But it was a really dark place for you, and I just remember, we had this one spot we go to near the water, and we just sit there and we just talk. And I remember having conversations with you about, it's so dark, I don't know if I can do this, I don't know if I can ever be free. And I remember you saying that, like, I don't think I can be free. I think this is my life forever, this horrible, horrible place. How did you find, because I know that these questions didn't go until obviously you became free, but how did you find hope in such a dark place?
Like, it's hard for me to even think back to them because it's just like so far from my reality now, to be honest.
I love that though. I love that.
Yeah, like it's crazy. How did I find hope? I think I had to reach my lowest point for me, and I know not everybody has to, and I hope not everybody has to, but for me I had to reach a point where like I knew that I couldn't do it by myself anymore. I knew that that it was out of my control. So I found hope when I began really searching, and for me that was reaching out to God, who I knew I deep down knew that it wasn't gonna be like if I really reached out to God, then there was gonna be hope, and it was up to me to hand it over to him. I didn't know how it was gonna look. I didn't know who I was gonna reach out to or who was gonna reach out to me, but I knew that I had to hand it over to God. And I guess that's where I found hope. It's not that it all became easy all of a sudden. It actually became harder for a bit, but I knew that that was kind of the first step.
Yeah, wow. Powerful. That's so powerful. You have a wealth of wisdom, like you really do. And I'm not just saying that. Like when you speak, people are like, oh wow, I'll write that down and take note of that to apply it to my own life. What are some practical tools that you use to fight?
Journaling was my number one tool. I think I just started by just writing down how I was feeling and just getting it all out on paper. Kind of like, no matter, I didn't kind of question too much what I was saying. It was just like, I feel like this right now. I feel lost, I feel hopeless, whatever. Getting it all out on paper, and then I think it was you, Jess, that kind of told me to write down on one side the lies that you're hearing, and then write down some truth to kind of come against those lies. Yeah, and so I started doing that, and I remember that was quite a powerful tool. And I still do that sometimes now, like
so
just with anything in life. Because seeing it out on paper, like, isn't one thing's kind of jotting stuff on your phone, but like writing it on paper was a really powerful tool for me. So I could just see it in front of my eyes, like, I feel like this is the truth right now, but this is the actual truth, and I know that it is. And really like meditating over the truth, whether that's writing down scripture that's like coming up against the lies that I believe about who I was, and the situation I was in.
Mm.
Yeah. So journaling, counselling was definitely a really useful thing for me. I didn't get counselling for years or anything. It was probably 6 months, but yeah, that was just a really good way to like talk through things and unravel some of the knots, I guess, in my mind, and yeah, just kind of get perspective on things, and praying and connecting with people, making sure that I showed up to catch-ups with people like Jess or other people at church that I'd met, being open to friends and family. So just, yeah, no matter how I was on the day, I think that was really important for me. I mean, I remember thinking like, no, I've just had this really bad day, I need to make sure that like it's a good day. I don't know, for me it just sort of, for me, played out in my mind like today's a good day, because I don't know, you didn't eat too much. Yesterday was a bad day, whatever. But I kind of had to be really firm on like, no, I want to become free, so it doesn't matter what my day looks like, I'm gonna still show up and talk to that person.
Yeah, wow. Good.
Yeah, I think those things were the most important.
So good.
Yeah.
Very good. What was your biggest fear about freedom?
I think I didn't know what it was going to look like. Yeah. And for me, like, I wanted to lose weight, and I wasn't too obsessed about how I looked. In actual fact, it was more the loss of control I had over eating. But I was really afraid that I would put on a lot of weight. Like once I stopped purging and all the over-exercising and all that, I was really afraid of that. And I was afraid, like, you know, what if I just become really overweight? And like, that was just a really depressing thought for me. Yeah, and also just kind of, yeah, not having control over it, not being able to see, yeah, what my future looked like. It is a scary thought for me. Yeah.
What does freedom look like for you now? Like, what is your future now?
Freedom for me now looks like eating, enjoying what I eat, not worrying about what I'm eating, not worrying about how much I'm eating, not worrying that I'm going to put on weight. That's the eating side of it, but freedom for me now looks like it doesn't have a hold over me, doesn't have a hold over, yeah, just my everyday life. I'm married, I have a little baby.
Who's adorable.
There's only one, she's not a baby anymore. But yeah, it's like just a whole lot more full, a lot more full of good things, not like I don't dwell on the negative, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I never knew that this is what my life was going to look like. So, yeah, so freedom's good.
If you hadn't have got to freedom, you never would have got some of the things, you know? And you're an incredible singer too. You sing.
Yeah, singing, definitely singing is like one of my joys that, yeah, has helped me through my journey as well.
So good. Amazing. What is one piece of advice that you give to someone who is struggling right now?
I would say writing, like journaling. Get stuff out on paper. For me, like, I was a real perfectionist with my mindset, and I knew that that I had to come against some of those thoughts, and like even just practically doing something that is against how you're feeling, like it feels so real when you're in the struggle. It just feels like, you know, you have to count your calories. I didn't do that, but you know, you have to do these certain things. That's what the eating disorder tells you to do. But just be brave and go against, just in a small way maybe, go against what it's telling you to do.
Yeah, good.
Like, even for one thing, I knew, like, I was real, if I didn't make my bed one day, like, it's a funny example, but I remember I started to come against some of these lies, And for me, one day I just decided, no, I'm not going to make my bed. Yeah, and I remember like it really played with those thoughts in my head, because I was like, no, but you have to make your bed. It's like what you do every morning. And I remember doing that was quite like a important thing for me. Because I was kind of like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I remember it became kind of easier and easier to come against the bigger lies. Yeah, just like, just be brave. And if you really want to become free, you have to go against how you feel.
Yeah.
But it gets easier.
Yeah, definitely. That's gold right there. What you just said is absolute gold. That was a huge key part of my journey. Was I had to be willing to feel guilty. I had to be willing to feel anxious. I had to be willing to feel like that distress and those horrible thoughts.
Yeah.
By going against what it would tell me to do, and then experiencing all of that so that I could become free.
Yeah.
But freedom's possible for everyone. It doesn't matter what your journey is. It doesn't matter how long you've had it. It's possible. And sometimes just those small steps and coming against the lies, one by one by one. I often say coming against the lies is like trying to untangle a whole bunch of necklaces. It takes time.
Yeah.
It takes persistence. It can be really frustrating, really painful. But if you keep at it, you get there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
All good.
For being open, for being vulnerable, and for sharing your story. And just your wealth of wisdom and knowledge too. You're incredible.
No worries.